evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination news, newsmakers, talking points. The big talking point, 25 student suicides and counting. Kota factory turning into India's suicide hub. We'll have a special focus on that. Among others, Chetan Bhagat is among my special guests, ex-IITian. He'll tell me much more on that issue. But first, as always, there's lots happening tonight. The 9 headlines at 9. Army Rashtriya Rifles Unit Commanding Officer Manpreet Singh, Company Commander Major Ashish Dhonchak and J&K Police DSP Humayun Bhatt killed in action in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag terror encounter. A shadow group of terrorists, Lashkar-e-Toiba, reportedly behind it. After its G20 success, the BJP now hosts a victory bash for Prime Minister Modi at BJP headquarters. The Prime Minister will also host a gala dinner for the Delhi police who were deployed for G20 duty. Team India chairs its first coordination panel meet, says seat sharing to be decided at state level. Alliance to hold joint public meeting in Bhopal on issues price rise, unemployment, corruption, caste census also on the agenda. The rally in the first week of October. A day before the special session of Parliament begins, government calls for a crucial all-party meeting on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Opposition questions why the agenda has still not been revealed. 25 suicides and counting in coaching hub Kota. 16-year-old NEET aspirant from Jharkhand reportedly took her life by hanging in a hostel room. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot forms a committee to look into student suicides. Nipah virus continues to haunt Kerala. The Kerala government declares 7 gram panchayats as containment zones in Kozhikode district. Schools and offices to be shut in the affected areas. Kaveri River war escalates in Karnataka. Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah writes to the Jal Shakti Minister, says government is not in a position to release 5,000 cusecs of water for the next 15 days to Tamil Nadu. Enforcement Directorate heat on Trinamool Congress MP Abhishek Banerjee, nephew of the Chief Minister. He's being grilled now for over 9 hours and counting in connection with the teacher recruitment scam. TMC alleges political vendetta. Big boost for Indian defence. Indian Air Force receives first C-295 transport aircraft from Spain. The aircraft is the first of 56 such planes ordered by the IAF under a 21,000 crore project. The Lok Sabha will discuss 75 years of India's parliamentary journey now on September 18th. India Today has scooped that big special session. What's it about? The agenda for the special session. 4 bills now in the government's tentative list for Lok Sabha. The list includes the controversial Chief Election Commissioner Appointment Bill. How should the Election Commission be appointed? Remember, the Supreme Court had stepped in a few months ago and said the leader of the opposition and the Supreme Court Chief Justice would also be part of the committee that would appoint the Election Commission officials. And now the Supreme Court decision could well be reversed by Parliament. Questions being raised over that. Is that the sole purpose, though, of this agenda? There's been so much of talk that this could be Band Baja Bharat for the BJP government, or there could be some other major bill being brought in. But Aishwarya Paliwal joins me with the very latest. Aishwarya, the big bill at the moment, apart from the 75 years of India's parliament journey, is reportedly around the CEC bill. You have the Supreme Court, which decided that they would also have a role in deciding who becomes the Chief Election Commissioner. It cannot just be the government. Is the government now planning to reverse that? Is that the CEC bill? Explain the CEC bill.
Well, Rajdeep, from what we are understanding exactly, this is what will take place. Now, the formation will be that majority of the people in the panel will be from the government. But let me also tell you, the current CEC, Rajiv Kumar, his tenure ends only in February 2025. So he is the one who will be looking at the 2024 elections. But yes, this will set the base for the next CEC, because at the moment, the next CEC in line is Mr. Arun Goyal. But yes, if this bill is passed and it does become a law, then it will be the government who will then have a say in who will become the next CEC. So the formation of the panel is now being changed, and the formation, if this actually becomes a law, then it will be the government who will be deciding who will become the next CEC. So definitely big changes there. The Supreme Court obviously wanted in its order very clearly that they also wanted to be a part of the panel. But this new bill if it becomes a law, will change the composition of the panel.
But Aishwarya, with all this buzz around this special session, is it just about that? Or are there any other likely last-minute inclusions? Is this simply about 75 years of Parliament and the CEC bill, or is there a last-minute googly still expected?
Well, we can, very well, Rajdeep, do expect a googly, because that is exactly what the Bharatiya Janata Party and the top leaders of the BJP have been doing. We have seen how over the past 9 years, certain googlies have definitely come from the government. But yes, what's on the paper, what's, on the paper and in the ink are these things that we can see in front of us. And from all these things, the one thing that stands out is the CEC bill. But yes, definitely, we can expect some more things to happen. But yes, at the moment, these are the four crucial bills that we are seeing at the moment that will be discussed in the 5-day special session that will take place from the 18th to the 22nd of September.
Okay, we'll wait and see what else the government has in mind. For now, 75 years celebration or going through the journey of Parliament and the CEC bill, where the government will then take control over who they can appoint as Chief Election Commissioner. Appreciate your joining us, Aishwarya Paliwal, with those details. Now, the national capital buzzing with lots of political activity today. BJP leaders and cadres giving a rousing welcome to Prime Minister Modi at the BJP headquarters this evening to celebrate a successful G20 summit. The Prime Minister's first appearance at the party headquarters after the summit, he was greeted with roses and petals were being showered upon him. Meanwhile, the opposition was holding a meeting, its first coordination meet of the new India Alliance at NCP Chief Sharad Pawar's residence. The alliance has decided to start the process of determining seat sharing starting at the state level. They are saying it is planning to hold their first joint public rally in the first week of October in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh, and plans to raise the issue of the caste census as well. Okay, so we'll wait and see how that plays out politically. But I want to turn to what is my focus today, because I want to put today an issue which I believe is people first. This is a country where becoming an engineer or a doctor is still prized. To get into an IIT, to crack the NEET exam is still a big thing for millions of families across the country. And where do those families or the students head? They head to Kota in Rajasthan. Kota is India's national capital when it comes to coaching centers. Tragically, it's also becoming a suicide capital. Today, a 16-year-old student who was preparing for the National Eligibility-cum-Entrance Test died by suicide, hanging herself in Rajasthan's Kota. This year alone, 25 young Indian students have committed suicide in Kota. Is there any solution? Take a look at tonight's special report.
Kota, known as India's entrance coaching hub, continues to witness a distressing trend of student suicides. A 16-year-old medical aspirant from Jharkhand took her own life by allegedly hanging in her hostel room located in the Vigyan Nagar area. The victim was preparing for the National Eligibility-Entrance Test.
In the latest case, a 16-year-old girl from Ranchi in Jharkhand died by suicide in this hostel by hanging herself. However, the cabinet minister in Rajasthan government, Shanti Dhariwal, has claimed that the girl was in an affair and has also mentioned that each and every case of suicide needs to be investigated, and stated that students from places such as Bihar arrive in Rajasthan and then feel burdened due to peer pressure and commit suicide.
25 students have died by suicide in Kota this year. This is a big jump from the 15 suicides in 2022. The count has increased from 7 in 2017. Coaching institute students say many of them are under tremendous pressure to clear entrance exams.
हम लोगों को बहुत ज़्यादा फोर्स होता है क्योंकि कंपटीशन बहुत ज़्यादा है एंड अराउंड 25 लाख स्टूडेंट्स एक बार में बैठते हैं एग्ज़ाम में, तो कंपटीशन वहाँ टफ हो जाता है क्योंकि बहुत ज़्यादा बच्चे होते हैं और सीट्स बहुत कम होती हैं, इसलिए बच्चे प्रेशराइज्ड होते हैं।
कहीं ना कहीं उतना नहीं दे पा रही हूँ जितना देना चाहिए। सभी यहाँ पे 14-15 घंटे पढ़ते हैं, मैं उतना नहीं पढ़ पा रही हूँ।
कितना घंटे पढ़ते?
12 घंटे।
12 घंटे बहुत होता है।
तो फिर यहाँ कंपटीशन बढ़ते जा रहा है।
Nitin Vijay, who runs a coaching institute and whose story inspired a web series, Kota Factory, says that students are unable to cope up with the burden of expectations.
मेंटल प्रेशर झेलने की बच्चे की जो थोड़ी सी क्षमता है वो थोड़ी कम हो गई है। एक रिएक्शन जो मुझे लग रहा है कि चेन रिएक्शन हो गई है, क्योंकि जब आज मीडिया के माध्यम से बच्चे को एक न्यूज जा रही है सुसाइड, उसे वो विकल्प के रूप में दिख रहा है। ये आयरनी ही है कि हम इस बात को छुपा नहीं पा रहे।
The Ashok Gehlot government has set up a committee to look into rising suicide cases.
एक बच्चे की जिंदगी जाती है तो हम सबको दुख होता है, परिवार को होते होता है। ये स्थिति जो बनी हुई है वो दुखद है। कोचिंग क्लास के प्रबंधक, उनके परिवार वालों का मामला है, माहौल क्या कॉलेज के अंदर, क्या माहौल हॉस्टल के अंदर, इन सब की स्टडी करवा रहे हैं हम लोग, काउंसलिंग करवा रहे हैं, एक्सपर्ट जो है इस विषय के उनसे बातचीत कर रहे हैं और हम चाहेंगे हम सब मिलकर के इस समस्या पर चिंता तो व्यक्त करें।
From installation of spring fans to banning exams for 2 months, to putting up motivational posters, the authorities are trying many solutions to end suicides, but none of them seem to be working. With Devankur Vadhavan, Bureau Report, India Today.
Rising suicides of students in Kota. What really is the solution? Is parental pressure the real reason for these rising suicides? Is there a fixation in India on getting into engineering and medicine above all else? Is there something seriously wrong with our higher education system? I'm going to raise these questions. We'll be joined by the Rajasthan Education Minister, among others, in a moment. But my first guest is someone who was an IITian one time, then went and became a celebrated author. Chetan Bhagat joining me. Appreciate your joining us, Chetan. We've just heard of the 25th student suicide in 2023 alone in Kota. Tragic death again of a young medical student dying of suicide. A 16-year-old girl who was appearing for her NEET exams or preparing for it in Kota. 25 and counting in just 1 year. What, to your mind, explains the scale of this problem, as someone who himself prepared for IIT years ago, of these students committing suicide in Kota?
Yeah, thank you, Rajdeep, for having me. And it is indeed a very sad news for the 25th time this year. This is like a young child who I am 100% sure she had a lot of potential. I'm 100% sure if she had lived, she would have had happy days. She would have seen great moments, achievements, accomplishments, if only she didn't decide to take this step. And the entire family is devastated. Now, on your specific question on Kota, here's the thing. First, bitter truth we have to acknowledge before we get into Kota. There is some Kota specific stuff, that this is not just about Kota. A lot of students in India commit suicide. The rates of suicide in Kota will be higher because the concentration of students is higher, and the students are there for a very competitive exam, which exists all over the country. And there are suicides happening everywhere of kids this age, which should not happen. Now, if suicides in Kota are 30 per 1 lakh population and rest of India is 10-12, yes, that's something Kota specific. We'll discuss that. But those 10-12 per 1 lakh is also not a joke, because all over the country, kids are finding it too much. And when we come to Kota, Kota is like you can say a concentration of what an average Indian student is made to go through, especially if they come from a middle class background. They are expected to perform in exams which are designed to reject. It's not like if you're good enough, they will take you. They will only take 2% of people. They will only take 1% of people. They'll maximum take 3% of people. Things like that. Those are some of the selection rates in the IIT exam, NEET exam. So 96, 95% of people are going to be rejected. You know, it's just, it's hard to imagine something as competitive. It's like one local train coming which can take 100 passengers on the platform, and there's 2,000 people or 10,000 people waiting, literally. It's like that. So you have a young child who's expected to perform in this. A lot of times parents send kids to Kota thinking this will give them an edge. It probably does. It makes your chances from 2% to 5%. But still there is a 95% selection rejection rate. And, parents often borrow money. Parents often, mortgage their house, jewelry, all kinds of things do happen in India. Farmers take loans to send their kids to Kota. and the child feels extra pressure because of that, and then they just can't take it. At some point they feel like nobody's listening to them. All their parents want is, not just parents, the world around them wants is doctor ban jao, engineer ban jao, which seems to be the only two professions in the mind of Indian parents.
No, but that's, Chetan, doctor ban jao, engineer ban jao, that mindset is not going to change in a hurry, unfortunately, in this country, it appears. What is the real solution then? What is the solution that you think can be there to, in a way, try and find ways to reduce the burden on these students?
Okay, so there is firstly all kinds of solutions being proposed. Believe it or not, there was news articles on your news channel only of like the spring-loaded fans. Like one of the solutions in Kota is that the fans should be made such that they have springs so that you can't hang on them. That's obviously not a solution. Maybe there is some well-intentioned thought behind it, but solution will come if from 5 different sources, really. One is, of course, the parents. I wouldn't just put all the blame on them, but they have a big part to blame, because a lot of Indian parents believe that if the child is not a doctor or engineer, their future is in jeopardy. And if you're a doctor or engineer, your future is set. And I think it's parents in India cannot take uncertainty. Tabhi sarkari naukri chahiye. The more stable you are, the more boring and predictable your career path can be, the better it is. And I think they feel if they are a doctor or an engineer, you will get some employment somewhere. I'll give you numerous examples of underpaid doctors and engineers, but that's a separate story. The point is, take sectors like real estate, take sectors like media, take sectors like social media influencers, take sectors like, I don't know, like accounting, finance, banking. These are places where people make lots of money and they're not doctors and engineers, right? Real estate, you don't need to be doctor engineer, but you can make a lot of money if you're great at selling real estate, for example. I'm just giving one example, but that never comes into the consideration. And parents feel that every child must become a doctor or engineer. It's not possible. Please stop having this. Not every child is meant to be doctor or engineer. I clearly was not, even though I was made to go through the grind. But now, having gone through, I can say that it's not for everyone, And why push everybody like that, right? Secondly, I think a certain amount of course, will go to the policymakers, because they have to open more colleges, which are quite good, like which if you look at the US, there is, of course, the Ivy Leagues and the near Ivies like Stanford, MIT, all these colleges. And then you have other good colleges, like, for example, UCLA or Tufts University. I mean, you have all these which are like A-, B+ kind of colleges, which are also considered good, but they're not as hyper competitive. Their selection ratio will be like 10%. Then you have the 20%. In India, you don't have that. It's the same. It's the same Stephens College, which when you were growing up, it's the same physics honors, same economics honors, same number of seats, but the number of students applying has multiplied. We don't have a night shift at St. Stephens. We don't have 10 St. Stephens in the country. Why? And so, there has to be increase in supply of quality colleges, and that requires a certain set of people who are opening a college like an ISB. I'm not trying to promote any college, but for example, colleges like ISB, like Ashoka University, like Plaksha, there's a couple of people with very good people behind, and those colleges do manage to have a good brand name very fast. So some things, we know the path, but we need to increase that supply of seats, right? And then third, the companies who go and hire, they only want to go and hire from IIT. You're from Unilever, you want people to sell your toothpaste or whatever, great. Do you have to go to an IIT? Why can't you go to any other college and pick up good students there? Because these companies who give the jobs, they only go to those colleges. So every student says, if I don't get into this college, I don't get the job. Then, of course, it comes down to students also. The students who are last thing, the students who decide to take this step. I want to say that, life is difficult. Life is difficult, beta. Or whoever it is. I'll say this. I say this to my own kids. Life is hard. So it will be hard to study for an exam, and you will face rejection. You will face disappointment. You think like Rajdeep has got every interview he ever wanted from people. You think people have not slammed the phone on his face. You think I have had every, I don't know, a book of mine made into a movie and like people have not slammed the door on me. It has happened. My books didn't. So all kind of rejections will come. You got one rejection early in life, and now you may not become a doctor and an engineer. Now you become, you become a symbol of that person that who didn't become a doctor engineer but still became successful. You can choose that choice rather than saying everything is over, I'm going to throw my life away. That is stupid. You're going to see love, you're going to see childbirth, you're going to see, opportunities that you can't predict right now. I can't tell you what is going to come for you 5 years later, but something will happen. And if you say that I'm going to like just end everything and this is the last step, that's not good. So sorry, that's a very long answer, but it is a collective responsibility. It is a big problem. There is no easy fix. You can't just say shut off lights in Kota and everything will become okay. वो नहीं होने वाला है ना.
No, I allowed you that long answer because I think it is a complex issue. The truth of the matter is there are no easy fixes. But the manner in which governments respond to, just look at the numbers first in Kota. There are at least 4,000 student hostels, over 40,000 paying guest facilities, and an entire industry has come around it. It has become a factory. And then in this hyper competitive environment, when you've got these students in one place, it is going to create problems where there seem to be, at least you need some short-term solutions. They cannot be putting a springboard on a fan like the Rajasthan government has done. What are those? What can be done now to ensure that at least some of this suicide rate goes down?
Fair enough. And okay, so these are long-term solutions and they needed to be put out there. But yes, as something that could work very fast, we can make it compulsory for coaching classes to have mental health professionals or counselors or something who keep tabs on students and on the parents. You have to remember, if it's a minor committing suicide, they are minors. They don't have the agency. They're not adults to make decisions for themselves, and anybody committing suicide is not making the right decision. But clearly the parents are responsible for the children. Just because your child has gone to Kota to study doesn't mean your responsibility is over. So the parents also have to be counseled. One is you talk to the child, but it should be made little compulsory that once a month check in with the parents with some input from the teacher. Listen, your child is not performing as you want him to. Don't cry. It's not the end of the world. Something will work out. And telling the child also, it's okay as long as you're trying your best. These are your other options. If you can have people at coaching centers, I know it's not their primary mandate, saying if you are the 95% who didn't get in, here are some other paths for you. They may not be as beautiful as you would like them to be, but here's the next step for you, so that they don't think the next step is to find a fan. And the same thing for parents, and this can be at least compulsorily done. Like, you have to do, just as you have physics, chemistry, maths, you have mental health once a week, once in 2 weeks. It's okay. And the parents have to be on the call, because the parents are the one who are putting the guilt screwdriver from behind.
No, that's a solution. Having mental health guidance right through for any coaching center as mandatory perhaps. But a final question. You went to IIT when? A couple of decades ago? Was it as competitive then? Or do you believe that with technology, with more and more people appearing for NEET or the JEE, it's become more information, many more coaching centers, tutorials? Is it much more competitive than it was in your generation?
It was pretty mad, Rajdeep. It was pretty mad to get in. Only thing is we didn't have the awareness. We didn't have the news coming. We didn't have like social media to share that, oh, today one more suicide happened. We didn't have that. And of course, maybe because of the lack of the news that, okay, this child made it, this child got a 1 crore salary out of IIT, this child created a unicorn out of IIT, all that pressures weren't there, right? It was just like, okay, IIT is a good college, study for it. But it was pretty damn hard. Even then, it was hard. We didn't have a Kota, was just kind of starting. I didn't go there, but it was just kind of on the early stages. So we didn't have the kind of dedication that you just send for me, I've been to Kota, God bless. I have many clients there. Many institutes have called me for talks and everything. So no offense to them. But when I see how difficult it is to survive there for a 15-year-old, I wouldn't send my child there. No offense. I think people there are well-meaning. But a 14, 15-year-old child is not, if you can, because they can study at home. What is stopping now? From online teaching, from all kinds of resources available. You don't have to go there. There's nothing extra in Kota water that is giving you an edge on IIT. You can do it a lot from anywhere.
Chetan Bhagat, thank you very much for joining me. You've offered some very candid thoughts there. I appreciate you joining us. Let me widen this debate because this deserves more attention. Dr. Meera Iyer is a child and adolescent psychologist. She joins me. I'm also joined by Anand Kumar, Director Super 30, which has had a remarkable record of getting people into IITs. Anand Kumar is a student taking NEET coaching at the moment in Kota, and I'm joined also by the Rajasthan Minister, Mr. Kalla. Appreciate Mr. B.D. Kalla, you also joining us. Before I come to the other guests, Mr. Kalla, I spoke to him earlier, so I should make that reference. Ye pehle hua tha, and I asked him, kal 25वीं आत्महत्या हुई है कोटा में, 25th सुसाइड, एक 16 साल की लड़की की. आपकी सरकार, राजस्थान की सरकार के पास कोई सोल्यूशन है या नहीं है? अब आपने कुछ दिनों पहले कहा था यू विल पुट अ स्प्रिंग इन द फैन. ये कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं है. आप हमें बताइए आप क्या कर रहे हैं कि ये सुसाइड जो कोटा में हो रहा है उस पर रोक लगाने के लिए.
अभी पिछले दिनों में माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने कैबिनेट के साथ और अधिकारियों के साथ कोचिंग क्लासेस जो चलाते हैं उनके प्रबंधकों के साथ एक हाई पावर मीटिंग की थी और उसमें विषय विशेषज्ञों की एक टीम निर्धारित की थी. उसकी रिपोर्ट बहुत शीघ्र आने वाली है. उस रिपोर्ट के आने के बाद जो रिकमेंडेशंस वो बताएंगे उसको सख्ती से लागू किया जाएगा. वैसे मैं आपको बताऊं, आत्महत्या का सोचना पाप है और करना महापाप है. इसलिए इसमें एक तो जितने भी बच्चे यहाँ आते हैं उनकी पहले एप्टीट्यूड टेस्ट लेकर और IQ टेस्ट लेकर कोचिंग क्लास में उनको भर्ती करना चाहिए. आज मैं खुद साइंस का विद्यार्थी रहा हूँ. मान लीजिए किसी विद्यार्थी के 60% या 50% मार्क्स हैं और उसको अपन डॉक्टर या इंजीनियर बनाना चाहते हैं तो बन नहीं सकता क्योंकि वो पहले से ही कमजोर है. और माता पिता को भी चाहिए कि वो जबरदस्ती से उसको साइंस या इंजीनियरिंग अथवा कि मेडिकल में नहीं भेजे. आर्थिक रूप से जो तंग लोग हैं उनके लिए भी व्यवस्था जो है कैसे हो क्या हो इसके बारे में भी सरकार सोच रही है. और इसके साथ साथ कोचिंग क्लासेस चलाने वालों को
जी Anand Kumar, you're a student taking the NEET coaching in Kota. Tell us what are the pressures that students are facing. I want to hear from you. You're there with these thousands of students. Why is it that there is such pressure that people want to end up, unfortunately, dying by suicide?
According to me, like as a student, I feel pressure to like perform well, to meet up my expectations and my parents' expectations, to perform well in exams and like our monthly tests, to score good marks in them.
No, but who is putting pressure on you, Anand? Are the parents putting? Is it your peers that you're worried ki my friend will get in, I won't? Who is putting this pressure? And are you doing NEET out of your own free will or because of parental pressure you are doing NEET?
No, I am doing NEET on my free will. And my parents are supportive, but yeah, I have many friends here whose parents like pressure on them that you have to score good marks and all. But yeah, we have our own pressure, like our own expectations from ourselves that we need to perform well, because if we not perform well, then how will we get selected in a good college?
And do you have to be in Kota, you think, to do this? Can't you do it from your home? Do you believe that in that tutorial coaching center is the only way to crack this exam?
No, I don't think like this, but because, sir, according to me, like we can study on our hometown also. But like from my elder brother, he studied here earlier. So he told me that, like, sir, you will get the environment of study, like focused and all. So that's why I came to Kota. But I am from Bihar, Patna. And this year only, a boy got 705 marks. He's from Akash Institute. So he did it from Patna only. So it doesn't matter from where do you study.
Okay.
You can study from anywhere.
But the pressure in a way is greater. I'm also joined at this moment by Anand Kumar, Director Super 30. Anand Kumar जी, आप तो बिहार से हैं. ये दूसरे आनंद कुमार हमें कह रहे हैं कि देखिए कहीं से भी आप एग्जाम क्रैक कर सकते हैं, लेकिन प्रेशर बहुत है. एवरीबॉडी वांट्स टू बी कि कहीं ना कहीं आईआईटी में आना है या नीट एग्जाम पास करके अच्छे कॉलेज में जाना है. ये प्रेशर कैसे कम होगा?
दरअसल में सबसे पहली बात तो ये होती है कि जो माता पिता होते हैं उनका सबसे ज्यादा प्रेशर होता है. मिडिल क्लास, लोअर मिडिल क्लास के लोग अपनी आखिरी कट्ठे जमीन बेच के बच्चों को भेज देते हैं, कोटा भेज देते हैं. अब बच्चा सोचता है कि भाई लोग क्या कहेंगे, माता पिता क्या कहेंगे. वहां उनको पढ़ाई समझ में नहीं आती है बच्चों को. कोचिंग सेंटर वाले परवाह नहीं करते हैं, पैसे ले लिए, एडमिशन दे दिए, लेकिन टेस्ट खराब हो रहा है, बच्चा क्यों एब्सेंट हो रहा है, क्यों गुमसुम रह रहा है, कोई देखने वाला नहीं है. हॉस्टल में भी बच्चे जो है वो कॉम्पिटिटर समझ रहे हैं, न कि अपना साथी समझ रहे हैं. ऐसी हालात में कई लेवल पर सुधार की जरूरत है. सबसे पहले तो माता पिता को अपने अधूरे सपनों को बच्चे पर नहीं थोपना चाहिए. दूसरी बात कि कोचिंग सेंटर वालों को सिर्फ मनी मेकिंग पर ध्यान नहीं देना चाहिए, बल्कि हर बच्चे पर अटेंशन होना चाहिए कि कौन बच्चा पढ़ रहा है, कौन चुप है, किसका परफॉर्मेंस खराब है. जिसका परफॉर्मेंस खराब है उसको अलग से मोटिवेट किया जाए, अलग से पढ़ाया जाए. हॉस्टल वालों की जिम्मेवारी बनती है कि बच्चों पर निगरानी रखे, कौन बच्चा शांत रह रहा है, कैसे उस पर एक्टिविटी बदल रही है देखे. और साथ साथ प्रशासन को भी सख्त होना होगा. ऐसी घटनाएं घटती, हम लोग टेलीविजन पर बहस करते हैं, लेकिन सरकार को कार्रवाई करनी होगी इन्वेस्टिगेट करके कि आखिर ऐसी घटना क्यों घटी, उसकी पुनरावृत्ति न हो, और इसके लिए जो जिम्मेवार है उनको सजा देनी चाहिए.
ये बिल्कुल आपने सही कहा. मैं ये जानना, व्हाट इज कमिंग आउट इज द पेरेंट्स. द रोल ऑफ द पेरेंट्स इज बिकमिंग मोर एंड मोर इंपॉर्टेंट. डॉक्टर मीरा अय्यर, whether it was Chetan Bhagat, now Anand Kumar, each saying parents are putting a lot of pressure. People are mortgaging their land to make sure that their son or daughter can get into an IIT or crack the NEET exam. What will change? Will anything change, you think? Or is this now simply part of our Indian ecosystem?
First of all, thank you for having me here. I completely agree with a lot of what has been said in the discussion till now. So yes, I do think that there is a parental pressure for sure, and we have to understand that adolescent is not just having just one pressure. The child is going through, adolescent is going through multiple pressures. Let's start with biological changes. Let's talk about peer pressure. Let's talk about societal pressure. Let's talk even about online pressure that they have in terms of how they are going to portray their success and failures in front of in an Instagram post. Even those kind of things tend to have a trigger on how they project themselves, and their aspirational level seems to grow higher and higher because they are seeing themselves compared to other people who they may have not even met on offline. So we are not just talking about parental pressure. We have to think it at a global level as to what are the factors that are actually triggering them to commit such a impulsive behavior.
You're saying there are multiple pressures that are operating. I want to come at the moment. I just want to stop you to come to Anand Kumar as a student taking the NEET. Are there multiple pressures? Is social media pressure? Have you been talking to other students, Anand? When you hear of a suicide that takes place, is there a concern among students, anxiety growing among them? Or do they believe, ye sab hota hai, but we will do our own thing?
Sir, like nowadays, these much suicides are happening in Kota. So yeah, we think that, like, why is this happening? Like, मतलब इतना ज़्यादा क्यों हो रहा है sir suicide? हम लोग ये सोचते हैं. And sir, second thing I'll say that sir, some students feel like pressure of family and parents, but I have friends in hostels here only that like my own parents, they used to call to me and like ये सब इतना ज्यादा जो सुसाइड्स का मामले आया, सो वो लोगों ने खुद हम लोगों को बोला कि इतना ज्यादा प्रेशर मत फील करना. सब लाइक कुछ पेरेंट्स सपोर्टिव भी होते हैं, बट कुछ पेरेंट्स लाइक बहुत ज्यादा बर्डन कर देते हैं स्टूडेंट्स के ऊपर.
So Anand Kumar ji, आपके पास सुपर 30 के पास कोई सोल्यूशन है इन पेरेंट्स का? जो पेरेंट जब कहते हैं नहीं मेरे बच्चे को आईआईटी क्रैक करवा दीजिए, आप कहते क्या है उनको?
हम बताते हैं कि भाई आपका बच्चा तो अच्छा गाना गाता है। एक बच्चा हमारे पास ऐसा है, बहुत गाना अच्छा गाता था, कोई पेंटिंग अच्छा करता है, ऐसे लोग आ जाते हैं हमारे पास, उनको बहुत मुश्किल से समझाते हैं, बहुत मुश्किल है ये काम। लेकिन जब बच्चा कुछ धीरे धीरे अच्छा करता है, हमारे बोलने का थोड़ा असर भी होता है, तब उनमें पता चलता है उनको कि ये तो बड़ा अच्छा डिसीजन था। इसलिए मैं तमाम पेरेंट्स को हाथ जोड़कर बोल रहा हूं कि अपने अधूरे सपने को बच्चे पर ना थोपे, उनकी इच्छा को जाने, उनको मोटिवेट करे, जो भी फील्ड में जाना चाहता है उसको आगे बढ़ने दे। हमारे पिताजी मेरे लिए ही बात कहते थे, बेटा कुछ भी करो, मेरा कोई दबाव नहीं, लेकिन जिस फील्ड में जाओ सबसे अच्छा करने का प्रयास करें। तो बच्चे को इस तरह से मोटिवेट करना चाहिए, ये हमारा अपील है, गुजारिश है आपके चैनल के माध्यम से हर माता पिता।
Dr. Meera Iyer, do you think Kota should have mental health centers as well? That every coaching center should have certain rules and regulations, one of which could be having a psychologist on the campus for students to talk to?
Absolutely. There are no two ways about it. There has to be a mental health setup in every single coaching center, and these have to be well-trained counselors who are willing to take in the amount of students. So it also has to be not like just we have one counselor and we have 1,000 students. It has to be in ratio of the students. The counselors have to be set up there.
You know, Anand Kumar, as a young student, would you appreciate that if there was a mental health center along with all the coaching centers, somewhere where you could go to talk to people if you're feeling the pressure?
So I want to say something, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Like, I am in Allen, sir, Allen coaching. Sir, the classes are totally flooded, sir, like approx 250 students in one single class. But like, sir, in our old school days, like when I was in class 10th, my class is only approx 40 to 45 students. So my class teacher used to focus on every student. But sir, here 250 students in one single class. How will teacher focus on every student?
That's a very good point. It has become a factory. I want to give Anand Kumar, therefore, of Super 30 FI, a factory ban gayi hai.
Yes,
You know, that is the problem. This has really become, as the OTT series said, a Kota factory, Anand Kumar ji. कहाँ ये हम पेरेंट्स को जिम्मेदार कहेंगे, स्टूडेंट्स को? लोग इसका, इट हैज बिकम मनी मेकिंग, पैसे बनाने की मशीन बन गई है आनंद कुमार जी।
जी यही तो हम बोल रहे हैं कि भाई आजकल बच्चों को क्लाइंट बोला जाता है। एक कोचिंग सेंटर वाले एक बार हमारे पास बैठे थे, उनके पास फोन आया तो बोले कि भाई देखो क्लाइंट आया, भागना नहीं चाहिए, उनको कन्विंस करो। तो ये तो हाल है। बच्चा आनंद ठीक बोल रहा है कि एक क्लास में इतनी भीड़ होती है, बच्चों को कोई पहचान नहीं है, कोई टीचर असेसमेंट भी नहीं कर सकते कि बच्चा कितना तेज है, कितना पढ़ रहा है, समझ रहा है, नहीं समझ रहा है, कोई मतलब नहीं है। ये तो इस पर तो सरकार को कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए, सरकार को सख्त होना चाहिए, मेरी गुजारिश है ही।
Yes, you want to make a final point, young Anand Kumar.
Sir, like 200 students to 50 students in a single class, like teachers only focus on the students who are good in studies, like जो जवाब देते हैं, but बाकी students भी तो हैं जो उतने अच्छे नहीं है पढ़ाई में,
right?
उन पे भी फोकस होना चाहिए। सर अगर हम लोग ठीक है, हम लोग नीट नहीं निकाल पाएंगे, मतलब उतना नहीं पढ़ पाए कोई स्टूडेंट, बट सर अगर सब पे ध्यान दिया जाएगा तो एक हद तक तो कुछ तो पढ़ लेगा, या फिर पढ़ने का हैबिट अपने अंदर डेवलप कर लेगा कि वो फिर किसी और एग्जाम्स या किसी और स्ट्रीम के लिए भी लाइक confident रहेगा।
No, you're right, but the fact is this factory mentality has to go. It cannot be a factory. That's the message, I think, that has to come out loud and clear. We need our students to be able to explore their talents without reducing the entire education system to a factory. We have all too few IITs, all too few students who can crack the NEET exam. We are going to have to find a different model. Remember, this is a story that we will continue to focus on because we believe here on the news today, these are the real issues that should matter in a country like ours for the future. Thank you all very much to my panelists for joining us. I appreciate all your inputs. Let me turn from there to another troubling story that's coming in today from West Bengal. Remember, a few days ago, the West Bengal police arrested Dev Malia Bagchi, a young journalist, in an assault case accusing him under the SC/ST Act. Now, the journalist was arrested for allegedly making casteist remarks and trying to assault a woman. The arrest was based on a complaint by the neighbor. However, the truth is that many are now questioning the arrest because the journalist had also exposed in his own Kharagpur area a hooch traders. The Congress and the BJP are accusing the TMC of targeting the journalist because they say he ran a story on illegal alcohol being sold in the West Midnapur area. Listen in.
यहाँ सेमी इमरजेंसी चल रहा है, जिनकी ग्रुप ने अलायंस ने पूरा देश में डेमोक्रेसी खतरे में है ये बोल के बीजेपी का खिलाफ, मोदी जी का खिलाफ आवाज उठा रही है। उनकी अपनी स्टेट का क्या बुरा हालत चल रही है, तो बीजेपी कार्यकर्ता को छोड़ दीजिए, पत्रकार भी यहाँ सेफ नहीं है। ये मुद्दा मैं उठाया, आगे भी उठाऊंगा।
जो पुलिस वालों ने जो काम कर रहे हैं वो सही मानों में करेंगे, निरपेक्षता के साथ करेंगे और जो करना है जो नहीं करना है, एक तरफ तो पत्रकार और एक तरफ आदिवासी महिला, ये भी हम लोग को दोनों तरफ भी हम लोग को ध्यान देना चाहिए और देखना चाहिए। ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए था, बस हो गया। बहुत ही दुख की दुर्भाग्य की विषय है।
Tonight's ground report comes from Kerala, which is on high alert after the Nipah virus outbreak in Kozhikode district yesterday. 7 panchayats have now been declared as containment zones. The government has announced restrictions and measures to prevent the spread of the infection. Tonight's ground report comes from Kozhikode.
Nipah virus is back to haunt Kerala. The Pinarayi Vijayan government has declared 7 Gram Panchayats in Kozhikode district as containment zones after 2 people died of Nipah virus disease. 4 contacts are under treatment and of them 2 have tested positive for the virus.
3 പോസിറ്റീവ് സാമ്പിൾ അയച്ചതിൽ 3 പോസിറ്റീവ് സ്ഥിരീകരിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ അർത്ഥം ആദ്യത്തെ മരിച്ച വ്യക്തിയും പോസിറ്റീവ് ആണെന്നാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ നിലവിൽ സംസ്ഥാനത്ത് 4 നിപ്പ പോസിറ്റീവ് കേസസ് ആണ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ളത്. ആദ്യത്തെ കേസ് ഇൻഡെക്സ് കേസ് ആകാനാണ് സാധ്യത എന്നുള്ളത് തന്നെയാണ്.
43 wards in the 7 Gram Panchayats are in the containment zone. Schools in the containment zones will conduct online classes. Social distancing, use of masks and sanitizers are mandatory. Only shops selling essential items like food and medicines are allowed. Grocery shops can open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. only. Medical shops and health centers shall remain open round the clock. Vehicular traffic in the containment zones are prohibited. Nipah belongs to a group of zoonotonic viruses first discovered in 1999 following an outbreak in pigs and people in Singapore and Malaysia. The virus is generally transmitted through fruit bats but can also be spread through pigs and animals. It can also spread through contaminated food. Nipah has fatality rate. 17 people died in the first outbreak in Kerala in 2018. With Shibimol KG, Bureau Report, India Today.